Okay, hi guys. This is going to be my first ever film review. So my name's Adam, and basically I just go and watch loads of films at my local cinema, mainly due to this, which is my Cineworld Unlimited card, which I've been a member of since 2013, so 6 years now. Real big fan of the cinema. That's not advertising for Cineworld. I just wanted to show everybody that's why and how long I've been going. So I've seen a lot of different films. Some that I really think are quite poor, some that I really think are quite good, and I just decided to give this a go to try something new. Hopefully everybody kind of likes it and they feel like it does get some good points across. And if they do, then I'll probably make some more, and if not, then it's just a one-off thing that I suppose I can have a laugh about in the future. So there were many films that I considered starting this with. I've seen quite a few good films recently, but I decided that after seeing this film I just had to give this a go, and that film is The Joker. Which is just a really outstanding film just straight off the bat. So I just wanted to talk about the plot first. I'm going to try and keep it spoiler free as best as possible because obviously this film hasn't been out for too long. But the rough plot basically revolves around his fall into madness. So we're talking about a Joker origin story. It's 2 hours long, so it's quite a long film. But not really by today's standards when you look at like your other Marvel films where you're knocking 2.5 to 3 hours, which is really long. But it does have obviously a story to tell. Within this, it's quite a realistic take, so we're not looking at the comic book Joker where he's falling into the acid and coming out as a mad clown. We're looking at a realistic guy's descent into madness, which leads him to play this psychotic character, who he doesn't really see as a villain. He sees it as a pushback against society. But how it basically kind of happens is that we meet Arthur Fleck, who becomes the Joker, and he's already got psychotic issues. He's taking medication, and he has a laughing condition, which is obviously why he becomes the Joker. Within this storyline, he starts off as a clown, and he just like flips signs, does children's hospitals, just trying to make money where he can, but trying to spread happiness at the same time. However, all around him is misery, and everybody just tries to crush his spirit, tries to destroy him, and eventually he just sort of breaks and has enough. And this is where we begin to see his descent into madness. It turns out in this film that there's been some lies that have been told to him by his mother, who is basically his sole and only friend in the world. He imagines he has other friends, but he doesn't really. So he's sort of alone. So it tries to be quite realistic, and the main thing in the film that we really begin to notice about him is he just wants to be noticed, he just wants to be liked by people, and he never really gets the notice until the Joker becomes famous. And I think that's sort of why he embraces it, or that's the opinion I got from it anyway, which is quite realistic with a lot of killers, that they're usually people who kind of fly under the radar until they get that notorious name for being a mass killer or a gangster, and then they sort of stick with it and embrace it. So I think that's sort of the path they've kind of taken here. He's got one real dream, which is to be a stand-up comic, but he's just not funny. He believes he's funny, but he's just not, so it never really works out for him, unfortunately. Within the film, during the plot, he does meet somebody that he falls in love with. However, it's not really reciprocated, mainly because I don't think he ever tells her. He just sort of imagines that she's there with him, and then it turns out, well, that she's kind of not. I suppose I did try and say I would keep it spoiler free. That is a little spoiler, but it's not really major to the plot. It's just showing about his descent into madness. And it's quite a violent film, but certainly not for the first 40 minutes to an hour. We're just learning about the character, learning about the world that this Gotham City's set in. It predates Batman by roughly 20 years. He does meet Bruce Wayne at one point, but it's obviously the child version. So it's not really like the Batman and the Joker, it's just the Joker. And he does create a movement, and that movement sort of makes him famous. And that's why he decides to embrace it, because he likes the attention and the fame. And he sort of feels like he's actually making a difference in society as well, and trying to help out those who really need the help that the rich have forgotten about. So when we talk about the actors and the acting, obviously We've got actors such as Joaquin Phoenix, Robert De Niro, Frances Conroy, who plays his mother, and Brett Cullen, who plays Thomas Wayne. These are the four major characters to the film. Now, if I just keep looking to my right here, sorry, it's just because I've got some notes down that I'm just using to help me out. Like I say, these are just homemade videos. They're certainly not professional or anything, so I'm just trying to give it a go. And hopefully, as we do more, these will improve. So these are the four main characters, the four main actors. Now, everybody puts in a real good acting masterclass in this film, but nobody stands out like Joaquin Phoenix. He blows you away with the realistic performance of somebody who really suffers from psychotic illness and mental illness, and he doesn't do it in such a way where you think this is just over the top and unbelievable. You could believe that that person could be out there. It's an unbelievable performance, and in my opinion, it's really got to be Oscar worthy. It's got to be right up there. And I think the story could be a bit slow at points, but you're so engrossed by his acting that he just carries it. It's just unbelievable. Certainly some of the best acting that I've seen all year, and I must have seen at least 60 films this year, if not more. So the actors, they're the four main characters, and the reason they're the four main characters is that it's a lot about him and his mum and their relationship. The Franklin Murray Show is the show that he really desires to be on. That's where he's going to launch his stand-up career. It's sort of like a late night talk show like Jimmy Kimmel or something like that in America. And Thomas Wayne is obviously Bruce Wayne's dad, and in the film he's running for mayor. And his mum used to work for Thomas Wayne, and she believes that he will save Gotham City, but the Joker doesn't really see it because he's more understanding in the difference between the rich and the poor and how he's sort of been forgotten and everyone else has been at the bottom. So the acting is unbelievable, and the way he does like the laughter, and he has to portray different emotions in the laugh because it's an illness, not like he's just laughing for the hell of it. So he does like sad laughs, angry laughs, and I know that sounds strange, but when you see it, it really is pulled off really well, and it's quite unbelievable. The other ideas within the film that it tries to portray, like I say, it's quite a realistic film, so it talks a lot about mental illness, a damaged society. You've got a lot about the rich-poor divide, and who decides what's funny is also another key point in the film. So the Joker is quite into dark humour, certainly about death, destruction, and in the film he constantly gets told that's not funny, don't joke about that, and he's always saying it is funny, and it sort of culminates with where he is discussing about who decides what's funny. You know, why do people in power get to decide what's funny rather than people finding different things funny? And that's quite a realistic point for today's society, just taking that out of the film, because obviously nowadays there are certain things that people believe can't be said due to what is funny. Again, your rich-poor divide, that's in a lot of films. The mental illness is really well touched on because it properly shows somebody descending, and it discusses it in different settings. So when he's discussing it with the counsellor, he discusses that she never listens to him. She just tells him the same thing week in, week out. She doesn't really help him. She's not interested in him. It's just another number to her. And that might be being a bit harsh to her, but it certainly does come across that, and you begin to empathise for this character who really is quite evil. And I think that's the beauty of his performance. That you do begin to empathise for him, and you do think, actually, you almost want to help him, you almost want to follow his movement. And I think that's a really great story writing, really great directing by Todd Phillips, and a really great acting and cast that brings that all together. So I think, like, overall, to wrap this up, because it's my first one, I would say that it's a really, really good film. I definitely advise everybody to go and see it. And like I said, I've tried to keep it spoiler free. I would give this film like probably a 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5, because the acting is incredible, but it's a little bit slow at points, but you have to go with it and you have to watch it carefully, because otherwise you could easily get lost in the story. The other point why I gave it a 4 out of 5 as well was because I think it's not the Joker that I expected to go and see. I expected to see a lot of slashing, a lot of killing, a lot of violence, a lot of anger, a lot of destruction. like we see in The Dark Knight, where he's quite capable of just taking people hostage, killing people, but that's a more developed Joker. And I don't think he's really reached that point yet, where he's got all those followers, he's got his own gang. He's not doing the heists, obviously. He's just trying to make a point about society and show how now he is the Joker. People are taking notice and people want to hear what he's saying. So I think I went there with expectations that weren't necessarily met, but that's not a bad thing because I certainly enjoyed it more than I thought I would, even with those expectations. And it certainly brought a new light to the character for me. And so hopefully you all go and see it, you all enjoy it. If you like this, I'll do some more. Let me know. Let me know if there's any films you want me to go and see and let you know about. But otherwise, stay well and keep enjoying cinema, and I'll see you soon. Bye.